Good morning. I'm here with Councilor at Large, Marc Silvestri. You're running for re-election, and kind of just the one thing I kind of want to highlight is what keeps pushing you to serve the city.
Great question. So, service to me is very important. Service to the country. That when I was serving the military, when I came home, I went through some dark times in my transition back to civilian life, and I just decided to get involved in other people's political campaigns. I decided that I was very good at it. I'm born, raised here. I've lived here my whole life. My daughters are now being raised here in the city. I own a home here in the city. So I feel as though if you're going to be invested in the community you live in, you should be invested to the fullest. And this is a way of me continuing my passion for service.
Just to touch on your service in the military, veterans are some of our most vulnerable residents here in Revere. I mean, you've done amazing work in the city, and what else would you love to kind of push forward in another term?
I'd like to see some more private-public partnerships on veterans housing, but also like to see a way to maximize the ability for veterans of Revere to benefit off the housing that's built. It's very tough with federal guidelines that say that once you open up to affordability, that it's open up to anyone. So you can't per se guarantee a Revere veteran's going to get it. I'd like to try to figure a partnership between a private and public sector that specifically targets Revere veterans and make sure that we're giving them the most affordable avenue to live and sustain living here in Revere with the rising costs.
Yes, of course. A lot of discourse this election year has really been about some disconnect between elected officials and their constituents. I mean, what work have you done or would like to further do to kind of more connect yourself with each constituent?
So knocking doors, phone calls, I think are the most important, crucial piece of a campaign, of being an elected official. If you don't know what's on the minds of your constituents, then you can't be an effective leader. And a lot of times it's just people wanting to know you're there to listen. Being an effective leader is doing that, getting out in the doors, talking to people, showing up in community engagement, showing up at community events, supporting high school, meeting student senate like yourself. These are the way you stay engaged and communicate with your voter base, and to ensure that they understand where you stand on your issues, and that they're voting for someone that is ensuring their values.
To move on to kind of the school system, and as you're saying, what really are you looking for to help improve on the school side? What are you looking for out of your school committee, out of just the school system in general that you'd love to highlight?
Yeah, I'd love to see more committee of the whole meetings between the city council and the school committee. I'd like to see more of a combined co-work between the two, because I think our education system is the most important piece of any community. It's your next leaders, it's your next teachers, and ensuring that you all have the best education is not always going to be the most or the least expensive, right? It's not always going to be the most palatable option for everyone, but we need to look at the big picture on education and make sure that the students of Revere and the teachers of Revere are getting the best out of us, and that is giving you whatever you need in student of as far as the building, as far as extracurriculars, and being engaged and supporting that, and always, again, as I said, can't be the cheapest way.
I'd love to hear that. And even more, just from a student to student level, what would you do to kind of help expand and kind of help this upturn in student involvement, especially in the city?
Yes, so I would love to continue to hold forums like this. I'd love to continue to hold student engagement, where you can talk with a group of students, get engaged one-on-one. I'd love to have students join me on the campaign trail. If anyone's willing or wants to get involved in a campaign, it's a great experience. It's good on college applications, but I think it's important for our youth to get involved, because this is an issue that's going to impact them. Education, public safety, health and human services. When you start hearing the voices of the youth and our teenagers, and when they're starting to talk about issues, then you know you're starting to hit nerves and important issues, because now you're getting kids engaged that normally don't get involved, right? And for you all to get involved in situations and want to stand in, it shows that you're in this for the best of the students that come after you, because you're not going to see a day in that high school. So for you to be fighting for the future of those other students coming behind you is an amazing trait that you have, and continue to do it and continue to try to get students engaged. And if you're out there and you're debating whether to vote, or you don't know how to vote, reach out and we can tell you how to vote from campus. You get an absentee ballot, mail it in. There's ways to stay engaged even if you leave the community, and I think that's important. And Revere is moving in a way, and we need to continue moving in that path. So our best and brightest go to college, but when they come back to plant roots here. And we need to make that sustainable, affordable, and give them all the pieces and tools to want and the ability to do just that.
And maybe to kind of touch on your point, there have been, obviously, the city is growing at a rapid rate. Development is really going to happen no matter what. And it can happen in a smart way, it can happen in a not smart way. I mean, what are you looking for and what are you working to kind of make sure that the city stays affordable, but we're able to grow?
Yes. So I think that we need to look at more affordable avenues. We need to have a committee that sits together with developers, with residents, with homeowners, landlords, and we need to come up with a comprehensive plan that's palatable for everyone to move forward with. We can't just force one certain thing down the developers' throats and say, here, you're stuck with this and that's what you're going to get, because they're never going to want to support it. But if you make it in an approach where they feel as though they're buying in and their ideas are being heard, I think that we can come to an agreement that it's needed, that it's something that is in a, if you think of ways outside the box, you can make happen for workforce development, for workforce housing. And it's an issue that we need to start looking at, as you said, for our veterans, our seniors. We are right now pricing our seniors out of the city of Revere, and that's very worrisome for me. And we need to figure a way how to keep them in here in our city. Some ways it might even be is, we have a lot of old housing stock here in the city of Revere. So we could find ways to partner with homeowners and say, okay, we'll help you figure a way to get your one family to a legal two family. We'll give you the ability to stay, but you have to rent to an affordable person. And that, I think, is a way that we think outside the box and we bring affordability to the city. We're helping a homeowner bring up the value and bring up the property of their home, and we're making an affordable home option for someone that's in need.
Beautiful. And just one last question. I'd like you to touch on maybe one positive thing that you've seen the city do in your tenure or even before that you'd love to highlight and expand with another term.
So I think our growth, but our ability to work together. There's divisiveness in the city. For the most part, though, When you come through the hallways of Revere High, there's no animosity, there's no difference in race, there's no colors that are seen. It's one, and I think Revere has done an amazing job in the past decade of making that change, that positive change of welcoming people from other countries, welcoming in not only welcoming but embracing what they have to bring to the community and enrich it in restaurants, in their food, in their culture. The flag raising day, some people think that's just a minor thing, but that's an amazing impact that the city has. It's showing that we are recognizing the different cultures and nationalities that are here living in our city. And it's a big deal to those nationalities and cultures to be recognized by their leadership and known that they're welcomed here. And I think that's something that we need to continue to grow on. I think that the development is amazing. I love that piece of development, but I think we really need to take a look at how many firemen do we need, how many police officers do we need, how many DPW workers do we need, and really get that number to where they need to be so we have the proper DPW services, we have the proper response times for the fire and police. And these are the things that I'd like to continue to work on, and actually increasing mental health services in our schools is a big one for me. Our students truly need it. A lot of students don't want to come out and say how much they're feeling, but I know how much pressure of performing highly and sports and school can have on a student athlete, a student, and we need to give the services that give them the support to withstand those stresses in their lives and still perform at that high level.
Thank you so much for agreeing to this and coming out today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate you guys having me.